So you're going to Curacao and you want to know what the port is like and maybe what the excursion of the half-day beach resort is like. We're going to talk about that today. So my husband and I were on Virgin Voyages cruise, and if you're interested in that, we have another video that talks about that. But one of the excursions that we took was at Curacao, and it was the half-day beach resort, which was basically an all-inclusive resort. It was a Hilton resort that was part of this excursion. So when we got off of the ship, the port was very colorful. There was women that were dancing and there was music. And so it definitely had that kind of beach island vibe. There was also, if you don't want to do a paid excursion on your own, and you just want to walk, there was a bar there. There were souvenir shops, and there were quite a few people that were kind of in this open air bar that were enjoying that as well. That certainly can do it. It was a very rocky area though. So, I mean, you certainly can walk to other beaches, I assume, or take a taxi. We did not do that. But it was very, rocky and wavy in this port. So do keep that in mind if you're looking for that kind of experience as well. Because we were doing the half-day beach resort, we did wait in the line. It was a very short line. There were 50 of us that were allowed to be on this excursion because that's what fit on the air-conditioned bus that took us there. It was literally a 5-minute drive on the bus. So you could walk back, and I believe there were a couple people that ended up walking back, and they do allow that as long as you let them know. We stayed for the whole day, and we'll talk more about our day there. There were actually 2 other people that decided to stay longer at the resort because, again, with Virgin Voyages, you actually stay longer at the port, and so they chose to stay there, and we're going to walk back kind of on their own. So again, it was a 5-minute drive to the Hilton Resort. Sorry if you hear my puppy. She is a 6-7-month-old mini golden doodle that is barking. So I apologize if you see her in the background, hear her in the background. But again, it was a Hilton resort called the Corendon Hotel. It was an all-inclusive resort. It had a beautiful open air lobby. Again, there were people that were there, that were staying there, obviously, in this resort. And so I'm not sure how I would feel about that if I was staying at a resort knowing there were 50 more people coming. We actually talked to a few people that were staying there, so we'll talk about their experience that they had if you're interested in that resort. But again, it had a beautiful heated pool, plenty of seats. So there appeared to be plenty of seats for those of us that were coming off the ship as well as those that were staying at the hotel. We didn't have any troubles finding seats. It had, again, all-inclusive, so food and beverages were included. So we'll talk about that here in a second. There had a beach called Mangrove Beach. It was rocky. So the beach itself was very, very small. So if you're going and you're like me and you like to walk a mile on a beach, that is not this. There are rocky, kind of, I'll call it bookend points. So the resort itself was within the rocky bookends, for lack of a better word. There was snorkeling, people snorkeling beyond the rocks. So again, I talked about how this area is rocky and it has quite a bit of waves. So there were people beyond the rocks that brought their own snorkel gear and were just snorkeling there. So if that is something you enjoy, you could do that with this resort right at the resort beyond the rocks. There were 2 ships that were in port this day, our ship being Virgin Voyages and a second ship, and that is in your view. So if you're going there wanting kind of the ocean wave view, you're not going to get that. You're going to have 2 ships in your view. And then on the right side of it, of course, you can see more oceans. It definitely was very shallow, very good for kids. So in the actual, if you want to call it a lagoon type area, the water was warm. It was very shallow. Like I said, good for kids if they like to play at the sand beach. That was a good part. But if you're looking for more of a waves coming in, you're not going to get that at this beach. So we'll talk about the food and beverages for a second. So again, it was all-inclusive, so that did include your food and beverages, and it was average. So if you've been to any other all-inclusive resort, that's what I would say this food was like as well. Customer service was a little slow, in my opinion. Now, again, the customer service was fine. Nobody was rude. They had plenty of help, but to churn out the food during the time there, it seemed like you would have to wait a little bit to get the food. And it was your normal fare on the beach. buffet style. So they had hamburgers, they had hot dogs, they had pizza, they had some Dutch kind of fried potato things. It was more of a Dutch area. So they did have, and to that point, they had a higher end gift shop that had kind of higher end things in there that you could shop, and that was quite nice. But it was all, you have to convert it from the Dutch currency into the US currency. So do keep that in mind as well. But again, the food was just kind of average buffet, all-inclusive resort kind of stuff. It did have some good drinks. But again, it took a little bit to get that. I mean, I think it took about 20 minutes to get the drink at least. So if that's important to you, just keep that in mind. But it had your beach bar, it had your pool bar. It did have a nice, you can refill your own soda and water and coffee stations. There are actually two that I found, one closer to the pool and one on the beach. And they were very close together with cups there provided. So that was nice if that's something that you want, just refill your own, which was nice. Again, there were quite a few kids there. So there was a separate area. We talked about the pool and the beach. There was a separate area kind of on the outskirts of the resort that had a water park and kind of an area for kids. So it had like a snake kind of cobra water slide that people were on. It had a kind of a splash zone with buckets that pour on. And then it did have a bar inside that as well. So if you are coming with kids and you want to be able to watch them and still enjoy the drinks and the food, there was a separate water park area that you could do that and watch your kids pretty easily. There was no lifeguard, again, on the main pool or the beach, but there was a lifeguard, at least the day we were there, at the water park. So if that's important to you as well, know there's a lifeguard at the water park. Again, there was some activities like sand volleyball. There were some other activities that many people really weren't playing, but they were available. Now, we did talk to a couple people that were actually staying at the resort that were not on a cruise, and they said they really enjoyed it. There was an adult-only area that we did not go to. That was not part of our resort pass. And then there was the area that we were on, which was the family area. And they said it was a good hotel for that. It seemed kind of small again, no, you'll have ships in your view. But if that doesn't matter to you, this would be a nice option for you as well. I did have some nice information on the birds and their community and what Curacao is like. So from that perception, it was very good. And again, it is a Hilton, so you're able to get Hilton points if you're a member of that, with Wi-Fi and other things like that. So then again, you could either take the air-conditioned bus back to the port, which we ended up just doing because it was a 5-minute drive and we had plenty of time that we felt there at the resort, and then we could walk around the port there. Or there were a couple people that just chose to stay longer at the resort because it really was a nice resort, and we're going to walk back at their own risk, if you will, to the cruise ship, which was probably would have been maybe a 12 to 15 minute walk if you wanted to do that. So hopefully you found this helpful. If you have any questions, please leave those comments below. Give me a like and subscribe. It really does help move my channel forward. And take a look at this next video.